Story 1. I've been working at my family's small bakery for 3 years now, ever since I graduated culinary school. My grandmother started this place 40 years ago, and I took over the day-to-day operations when she retired last year. We specialize in custom cakes and pastries, and I take a lot of pride in making each order perfect for our customers. Last Tuesday started like any normal day. I had several orders to finish, including a beautiful 3-tier baby shower cake for a customer who was picking it up at 2 p.m. I'd spent hours on this cake the day before. Vanilla sponge with raspberry filling, covered in smooth buttercream, decorated with hand-piped pink and gold roses, and topped with a custom fondant topper that read, "Welcome Baby Emma." The customer had specifically requested everything to match the baby shower theme, and I was really proud of how it turned out. Around 1:30 p.m., I was putting the finishing touches on some cupcakes when this woman walked in with her son, who looked about 8 years old. She immediately zeroed in on the baby shower cake, which was displayed in our refrigerated case waiting for pickup. "Karen, oh my God, that cake is gorgeous. How much for that one?" "Me, I'm sorry, but that's already been ordered and paid for. Someone's picking it up in about 30 minutes. But I'd be happy to show you our catalog of designs if you'd like to place an order." "Karen, what? Come on, it's just sitting there. My son has been asking for a fancy cake all week for his birthday, and this is perfect." "Me, I understand, but this cake was custom made for a baby shower. See the message on top? I can definitely make something similar for your son, but it would take a couple days since I'd need to order supplies and—" "Karen, a couple days? His birthday is today. This is ridiculous. It's just cake." Her son tugged on her sleeve and whispered something to her. She bent down to listen, then stood back up with this determined look on her face. "Karen, look, my son really wants that cake. He's been through a lot lately with a divorce and everything. He deserves to have something nice. Whoever ordered this can just get something else." "Me, ma'am, I really sympathize with your situation, but I can't sell you someone else's order. I have other cakes available, or I could make some cupcakes right now if you need something today." She walked over to the display case and just stared at the cake for a minute. Her son was getting antsy and started pulling on her arm. "Son, Mom, can we just go somewhere else?" "Karen, no honey, Mommy's going to get you this cake. You deserve it more than some baby who won't even remember their party." That's when alarm bells started going off in my head. I moved closer to the counter, keeping myself between her and the register. "Me, I'm going to have to ask you to step away from the display case. If you'd like to look at other options, I'm happy to help, but that cake is not for sale." "Karen, fine. How much did they pay for it?" "Me, the total was $150. She pulled out her wallet and slapped down some bills on the counter. "Karen, there's $200. I'll pay extra. Now give me the cake." "Me, ma'am, it's not about the money. This cake was made specifically for someone else's event. The message, the colors, everything was chosen by the original customer." "Karen, so? It's just decorations. My son won't care about that stuff." She started walking toward the display case again. I quickly moved around the counter to block her path. "Me, I need you to stop right there. You cannot take that cake." "Karen, watch me." She pushed past me and opened the display case. I immediately grabbed my phone and started dialing. "Me, I'm calling the police." "Karen, really? Over cake? You're insane." She lifted the cake box out of the case. Her son looked mortified and started crying. "Son, Mom, please, let's just leave. This is embarrassing." "Karen, shut up. Mommy's handling this." "Me, put the cake down right now or I'm pressing charges for theft." "Karen, it's not theft if I'm paying for it." She headed toward the door with the cake box. I stepped in front of the exit. "Me, the police are on their way. You need to put that cake back." "Karen, move. You can't keep me here." She tried to push past me with one hand while holding the cake with the other. The box shifted and I could hear the cake sliding around inside. "Me, "You're destroying the cake. Just put it back." That's when she completely lost it. She started screaming at the top of her lungs about how I was discriminating against her and her son, how small business owners are all greedy, and how she was going to sue me. Her son was sobbing at this point, begging her to stop. The whole scene was being recorded by another customer who had walked in during the chaos. The woman with the camera tried to calm Karen down, but that just made her angrier. "Karen, don't you dare record me. Delete that right now." Customer with camera, "This is public. Lady, I can record whatever I want." Karen, "I'll sue you too. Everyone's against me." The police arrived about 5 minutes later. By then, Karen had worked herself into such a frenzy that she was shaking. The cake box was dented, and I could see frosting smeared on the inside of the plastic window. When the officers walked in, Karen immediately switched tactics and tried to play the victim. "Karen, thank God you're here. This woman is refusing to sell me a cake and physically assaulted me when I tried to leave." "Officer, ma'am, please calm down." "Sir, can you tell me what happened here?" I explained the whole situation to the officers while Karen kept interrupting with her version of events. The other customer showed them the video she'd taken, which clearly showed Karen taking the cake and trying to leave without permission. "Officer, ma'am, you need to put the cake back and leave the premises immediately." "Karen, this is harassment. I offered to pay for it." "Officer, you can't force someone to sell you something that's already been sold to someone else. That's not how commerce works." Reluctantly, she put the damaged cake box back on the counter. I opened it up and my heart sank. The cake was completely ruined. The top tier had slid off and smashed into the side of the box. The frosting was smeared everywhere, and the fondant topper was broken in half. "Officer, ma'am, you're going to need to pay for the damages to this cake since you destroyed it." "Karen, I didn't destroy anything. It was fine when I picked it up." The officer looked at the video evidence again and shook his head. "Officer, the recording clearly shows the cake getting damaged while you were trying to leave with it. You're responsible for $150 in damages." "Karen, this is insane. It's just cake." She ended up having to pay for the ruined cake, and the officers escorted her and her son out of the bakery. The poor kid looked absolutely mortified by his mother's behavior. The real customer showed up about 20 minutes later for their pickup. I had to explain what happened and offer to rush make a replacement cake. Fortunately, they were understanding and agreed to pick up the new cake the next morning instead. But here's where it gets really good. The customer who recorded everything posted the video on social media, and it went completely viral. Within 2 days, it had over 1 million views. People were sharing it everywhere with captions like, "Entitled mom tries to steal baby shower cake," and "Karen loses it over bakery cake." Karen apparently saw the video and tried to do damage control by posting her own response video claiming she was the victim. But that just made things worse because people could see how delusional she was being. She ended up deleting all her social media accounts after getting flooded with negative comments. The best part? 3 days later, she came back to the bakery with her tail between her legs, asking if I could make a birthday cake for her son. She was completely different, quiet, polite, almost meek. "Me, I can make you a cake, but you'll need to pay in advance and wait like everyone else." "Karen, of course." And I wanted to apologize for what happened before. I was having a really bad day and I took it out on you. I made her son a nice birthday cake because the kid didn't deserve to suffer for his mother's behavior. But I'll never forget the look of shame on her face when she came back. Sometimes the internet justice system works exactly like it should. The viral video ended up being great for business too. We got tons of new customers who wanted to support us after seeing what happened. I guess every cloud really does have a silver lining. Story 2. I've been a firefighter for 12 years now, and I thought I'd seen every type of person you could imagine. I was wrong. What happened last Tuesday still makes my blood boil, but at least it had the most satisfying ending I've ever witnessed. Let me give you some background first. Our fire station sits right in the middle of downtown. next to the busy shopping district. We've got a clearly marked fire lane that runs right in front of our station, bright red paint, massive sign, the works. You'd have to be blind to miss it. But somehow, people still park there constantly. That Tuesday started like any other day. I was doing equipment checks when my captain called me over to the front of the station. There was a shiny black luxury car parked right smack in the middle of our fire lane. Not even close to the edge, dead center, like she owned the place. "Captain, go ask whoever owns that car to move it. We've got training runs scheduled all afternoon." I walked over to the nearby coffee shop where I figured the owner might be. Sure enough, there was this woman in her 40s, blonde hair, designer everything, talking loudly on her phone while sipping some fancy drink. I waited politely for her to finish her call. "Excuse me, ma'am, is that your black car parked in the fire lane?" She looked at me like I just asked her to donate a kidney. "Karen, yes, it's mine. What about it?" "You'll need to move it. That's a fire lane, and we need it clear for emergency vehicles." "Karen, I'm only going to be here for 20 more minutes. It's not a big deal." "I'm sorry, but it is a big deal. If we get an emergency call, we can't get our trucks out. There's plenty of parking in the lot across the street." That's when her whole attitude shifted. Her face turned red, and she stood up so fast her chair scraped against the floor. "Karen, are you kidding me right now? I'm a paying customer, and I'm not walking across some busy street just because you guys are too lazy to walk around a car." I kept my voice calm and professional, even though I was starting to get annoyed. "Ma'am, it's not about laziness. It's about safety and emergency response times. Every second counts when we're responding to a fire or medical emergency." "Karen, oh please, you can just walk farther. It's not like you're actually going anywhere important right now anyway." At this point, other customers in the coffee shop were starting to stare. I could feel my face getting hot, but I tried one more time. "I need you to understand, if someone's house is on fire, or if there's a medical emergency, those extra seconds it takes to maneuver around your car could mean the difference between life and death." "Karen, whatever. I've got important calls to make, and I'm not moving my car for your convenience. Find another way around." She sat back down and turned away from me, dismissing me completely. I went back to the station and told my captain what happened. He shook his head and called parking enforcement. Usually, that's where these stories end: a ticket and maybe a tow if we're lucky. But this story was just getting started. About 30 minutes later, our alarm went off. "Structure fire, apartment building, 6 blocks away." This was the real deal, multiple units responding, lives potentially at risk. We all rushed to get our gear on and get the trucks moving. I jumped into the passenger seat of our main engine as our driver started it up. We pulled forward and immediately had to slam on the brakes. That black car was still there, blocking our path completely. Our truck is massive, there was no way around it. "Driver, are you kidding me right now?" Our captain was already on his radio, calling for a tow truck and police, but we didn't have time to wait. The driver laid on the horn, and I mean really laid on it. The sound echoed off the buildings around us. Within seconds, Karen came running out of the coffee shop, her face twisted with rage. "Karen, what is your problem? Stop that noise right now." "Captain, ma'am, you need to move your vehicle immediately. We have an emergency call." "Karen, I told your guy I'm not moving it. You can figure out another way." That's when I noticed the news van pulling up. Channel 7 had been in the area covering some city council story, and they must have heard our sirens and seen the commotion. The reporter and her cameraman started setting up, while Karen continued her tirade. "Karen, this is harassment. I'm a taxpayer, and I have rights. You can't make me move my car." "Captain, ma'am, there are people whose lives are in danger right now. Your car is blocking emergency vehicles from responding to a fire." The reporter stepped forward with her microphone. "Reporter, excuse me, what's happening here?" "Captain, this woman has her vehicle illegally parked in a fire lane and is refusing to move it, while we're trying to respond to an emergency call. Karen, they're lying. I'm a customer here, and they're trying to intimidate me. The reporter looked at the massive fire truck, then at the clearly marked fire lane, then at Karen's car sitting right in the middle of it. Reporter, ma'am, are you aware that blocking emergency vehicles is a serious offense? Karen, they can go around. It's not my responsibility to make their job easier. By this time, a police officer had arrived along with a tow truck. The officer took one look at the situation and immediately started writing a ticket. Officer, ma'am, I'm citing you for illegally parking in a fire lane, obstructing emergency vehicles, and refusing to comply with emergency personnel. That's a $500 fine, plus towing and impound fees. Karen, this is ridiculous. I'm calling my lawyer. Officer, you can call whoever you want from the sidewalk. Your car is being towed right now. The tow truck driver was already hooking up her car. Karen was screaming at everyone, me, the captain, the officer, the tow truck driver, even the reporter. The whole thing was being broadcast live on the evening news. Reporter, we're here downtown where a woman's refusal to move her illegally parked car has delayed fire department response to an emergency. As you can see, her vehicle is now being towed while she faces significant fines. Karen, turn that camera off. You can't film me without my permission. Reporter, actually, ma'am, you're on a public street, and this is a matter of public safety. As her car was being loaded onto the tow truck, Karen finally seemed to realize how bad this looked. She tried to change her tune. Karen, look, I didn't know it was such a big deal. Can't we work something out? Officer, you were told multiple times by fire department personnel that you were blocking emergency vehicles. You refused to move. Now you're facing the consequences. The whole incident cost her over $800 in fines and fees. Plus, she had to pay to get her car out of impound. But the best part, the story went viral. By the next morning, she was known throughout the city as the woman who blocked fire trucks during an emergency. We did eventually make it to that apartment fire, about 15 minutes later than we should have. Thankfully, everyone got out safely, and we were able to contain the fire before it spread to other units. But those 15 minutes could have been the difference between saving someone's home and losing everything. The fire lane has been clear ever since. Story 3. I'm 17 and I've been working part-time at a local grocery store for about 8 months now. My parents insisted I get a job to learn responsibility and save up for college. The pay isn't great, but it helps me understand the value of money and gives me some independence. I started working here because my older brother recommended it. He worked the same job 2 years ago and said the management was decent and they were flexible with school schedules. Most days, I work after school and on weekends, mainly stocking shelves and helping customers find things. The work is pretty straightforward, though some days are definitely more challenging than others. This particular incident happened on a busy Saturday afternoon in early December. The store was packed with holiday shoppers, and we were understaffed because 2 people called in sick. I was working in the canned goods aisle, restocking soup and vegetables from a large cart. The process is methodical. You have to check expiration dates, rotate older stock to the front, and make sure everything is facing forward properly. It takes time to do it right. I was about halfway through restocking when this woman approached me. She was probably in her 40s, wearing an expensive-looking coat and carrying a designer purse. She had this impatient look on her face that immediately put me on edge. Karen, excuse me, where is the organic tomato sauce? Me, it should be right over here in the organic section. Let me show you. I started walking toward the organic foods section, which was about 10 feet away. But apparently, I wasn't moving fast enough for her liking. Karen, can you hurry up? I don't have all day. Me, sorry, I'm moving as fast as I can while being safe around all these carts and customers. Karen, this is ridiculous. You're walking like you're 100 years old. I tried to stay professional and just focused on getting her to the right aisle. When we reached the organic section, I pointed to the tomato sauces. Me, here's all our organic tomato sauce. Is there a particular brand you're looking for? Karen, finally. When I was your age, we moved with purpose. Kids these days are so lazy. I bit my tongue and started to walk back to my cart. That's when things got really ugly. Karen, wait, I need you to get me the sauce from the top shelf. I turned around and grabbed the step stool we keep nearby for reaching high shelves. As I was setting it up, she continued her commentary. Karen, seriously, how long does it take to get a step stool? This is basic customer service. Me, I'm sorry for any inconvenience. I'm getting it for you right now. I climbed up the step stool to reach the top shelf, but there were several different organic tomato sauces up there. Me, which brand did you want specifically? Karen, oh my God, are you kidding me? Just grab them all and bring them down so I can see them. There were about 8 different jars up there. I started bringing them down one by one, placing them carefully on the shelf at eye level so she could examine them. Karen, this is taking forever. What is wrong with you? Me, I'm being careful not to drop anything. I'm almost done. Karen, you're almost done? You should have been done 5 minutes ago. This is the worst service I've ever experienced. Her voice was getting louder, and other customers were starting to stare. I felt my face getting red, but I kept working. Karen, I want to speak to your manager right now. This is unacceptable. Me, I can call my supervisor over when I'm finished helping you with the sauce. That's when she completely lost it. Karen, when you're finished. I should be finished shopping by now. You're the slowest, most incompetent employee I've ever dealt with. This generation is absolutely worthless. You can't do anything right. She was practically screaming at this point. I could see other customers pulling out their phones, but I was too focused on staying calm to think much about it. Karen, I'm going to make sure you get fired for this. What's your name? Give me your name right now. Me, ma'am. I'm just trying to help you find what you need. If you'd like to speak to management, I can call them over. Karen, don't you ma'am me, you little brat. I'm a tax-paying adult and you're just some teenager who doesn't know how to do his job. I demand better service than this. She kept yelling for another minute or two, calling me lazy, incompetent, and worthless. I just stood there and took it because I needed this job and didn't want to make things worse. Eventually, my supervisor came over after hearing the commotion. Supervisor, what seems to be the problem here? Karen, this employee is the rudest, slowest person I've ever encountered. He made me wait 10 minutes just to get some tomato sauce. I want him fired immediately. My supervisor looked at me, and I just shrugged. He knew me well enough to know I wasn't the problem here. Supervisor, ma'am, I apologize for any inconvenience. Let me help you find what you need. Karen, no, I don't want your help. I want him fired. This is discrimination against customers. I'm calling corporate. She stormed off, still yelling about how terrible the service was and how she was going to get everyone in trouble. I thought that was the end of it, but I was wrong. About 2 hours later, my supervisor called me over to the customer service desk. He was standing there with the store manager and had his phone out. Supervisor, you need to see this. He showed me a video on social media. Someone had recorded the entire incident and posted it online. The video clearly showed me calmly trying to help while she screamed at me for several minutes. The person who posted it wrote, Karen has meltdown on teenage grocery store employee for not moving fast enough. Kid handled it like a pro. The video had already gotten thousands of views and hundreds of comments supporting me. People were praising how professional I stayed and criticizing her behavior. Store manager, don't worry, you handled this perfectly. We're going to ban her from the store. That felt good, but the real satisfaction came 3 days later. My supervisor called me at home. Supervisor, remember that woman from Saturday? Someone figured out where she works and sent the video to her company. She got fired for violating their employee conduct policy. Apparently, they have strict rules about public behavior reflecting on the company. Turns out she worked for a public relations firm, and they couldn't have someone representing their company who behaved like that in public. The irony was perfect. Someone whose job was managing public image got fired for her own terrible public behavior. The video ended up going viral with over 1 million views. Most of the comments were people sharing their own stories about entitled customers and praising retail workers. Some people even started a small fundraiser to tip retail workers during the holidays. I kept working at the store through graduation and saved enough money for my first year of college. The experience taught me a lot about patience and professionalism, but also that sometimes entitled people do face consequences for their actions. The internet can be a powerful tool for justice when used right. The woman never came back to the store, which was fine by everyone. My coworkers started calling me viral guy for a while, but eventually things went back to normal. I still have the video saved on my phone, though it's a good reminder that staying calm and professional is always the right choice, even when others lose their minds. Story 4. 3 years ago, I came back from my second deployment overseas. Things were rough when I got home. I couldn't sleep, couldn't handle crowds, and loud noises would send me into a panic. My therapist at the Veterans Affairs Hospital suggested I look into getting a service dog. That's how I met Rex, a 2-year-old German Shepherd who'd been trained specifically to help veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder. Rex isn't just a pet. He's trained to do specific tasks that help me function in daily life. He can sense when I'm having an anxiety attack before I even realize it's happening. He'll position himself between me and crowds, create space when I need it, and even wake me up from nightmares. Getting him changed my life completely. So last month, I was flying from Denver to visit my sister in Phoenix. I had all Rex's paperwork ready, his service dog vest on, and we got through security without any problems. We found our gate, and I sat down in a corner spot where Rex could lie down beside me without blocking the walkway. That's when I noticed this woman with her kid, maybe 8 or 9 years old, sitting across from us. The kid kept staring at Rex and pointing, which I'm used to. Rex is a beautiful dog, and he draws attention. But then the mom started walking over with her son. Karen, excuse me, is that a real service dog? Me, yes, he is. Karen, well, my son absolutely loves dogs, and he's been asking to pet yours. You wouldn't mind, would you? Me, I'm sorry, but he's working right now. Service dogs aren't supposed to be petted when they're on duty. Karen, oh come on, just for a minute. Look how excited my son is. I looked at her kid, who was practically bouncing with excitement. I felt bad, but I had to stand firm. Me, I understand, but when people pet him, it distracts him from his job. He needs to stay focused on helping me. Karen, his job, he's just sitting there. It's not like he's doing anything important right now. This is where I started getting annoyed. People don't understand that Rex is always working when he's with me, even when it looks like he's just lying down. Me, ma'am, he's trained to monitor my condition constantly. Even when he looks like he's resting, he's still working. Karen, look, I'm not asking for much. My son has been good all day, and he deserves a treat. You're being really selfish. Her voice was getting louder, and people were starting to look over. This was exactly the kind of attention and confrontation that triggers my anxiety. I could feel my heart rate picking up, and Rex immediately sensed it. He sat up and positioned himself slightly in front of me. Me, I'm sorry, but the answer is no. Please go back to your seat. That's when things got really crazy. Instead of walking away, Karen actually reached down and started trying to unbuckle Rex's vest. Karen, fine, if you won't let him pet the dog with this stupid vest on, I'll just take it off myself. Me, stop. Don't touch him. Rex immediately went into protective mode. He didn't attack or anything, but he stood up, moved between Karen and me, and let out a low growl. It was exactly what he was trained to do when someone posed a threat to me. But Karen completely lost it. Karen, that dog just growled at me. It's dangerous. Someone call security. By now, Half the gate area was watching this scene unfold. A couple of people had their phones out recording. I was shaking from the adrenaline and trying to calm Rex down, even though he'd done exactly what he was supposed to do. Airport security showed up within minutes. 2 officers approached us, and I was worried they were going to cause problems for Rex. "Security officer, what's the situation here?" "Karen, that vicious dog attacked me. I was just trying to be friendly and it growled at me." "Me. She tried to remove my service dog's vest without permission after I told her multiple times not to touch him." The security officer looked between us, then noticed Rex's official service dog vest and tags. "Security officer, ma'am, did you attempt to interfere with this service animal?" "Karen, I barely touched the stupid vest. My son just wanted to pet the dog." "Security officer, you cannot touch, feed, or distract a service animal in any way. It's federal law." That's when Karen really started yelling. "Karen, this is ridiculous. It's just a dog. My tax dollars probably paid for that thing anyway, so my son should at least get to pet it." The security officer's expression changed completely. He radioed for backup. "Security officer, ma'am, I need you to come with me." "Karen, what? Why? I'm the victim here." "Security officer, you've admitted to interfering with a service animal, and now you're being disruptive. We need to have a conversation." "Karen, I'm not going anywhere. I have a flight to catch." But 2 more security officers had arrived, and they weren't taking no for an answer. As they escorted Karen away, she kept screaming about how unfair it was and demanding to speak to a manager. Her poor kid was crying and had to be taken care of by what I assume was another family member who came running over. About 20 minutes later, the original security officer came back to check on me. "Security officer, are you and your dog okay?" "Me, yeah, we're fine. Is she going to be allowed on the flight?" "Security officer, no, she's been detained for interfering with a service animal and causing a disturbance. She'll miss her flight, and based on her behavior, she's being added to our airline's no-fly list pending a review." I couldn't believe it. This woman had escalated a simple no into losing her ability to fly with that airline, possibly permanently. The officer took my statement and reviewed the phone footage that several passengers had volunteered. Everything was documented properly. When it came time to board, the gate agent actually upgraded me to first class as an apology for the incident. Rex and I had a peaceful flight, and he got extra attention from the flight crew who were amazed at how well behaved he was. I found out later through a friend who works for the airline that Karen tried to appeal the no-fly list decision, but the video evidence and witness statements made it pretty clear-cut. She'd broken federal law by interfering with a service animal and then caused a major disruption when confronted about it. The whole thing could have been avoided if she'd just accepted my first no and explained to her son why service dogs are different from pets. Instead, her entitlement cost her the ability to fly with a major airline, probably ruined her vacation plans, and traumatized her kid. Rex got extra treats that night for being such a good boy and doing his job perfectly. Sometimes the system actually works the way it's supposed to. Story 5. I've been working as a librarian at our town's public library for about 3 years now. I got into this job after finishing my library science degree because I genuinely love helping people find information and resources. The pay isn't great, but there's something really satisfying about connecting someone with exactly the book they need or helping a student research their project. Most days are pretty routine. I help people check out books, answer questions about our computer systems, and occasionally deal with someone who talks too loudly in the quiet section. I thought I'd seen everything until last Tuesday happened. It started as a normal morning. I was at the front desk sorting through returned books when this woman stormed up to me. She was probably in her 40s, wearing a tracksuit that looked expensive, and had that haircut that screams, "I want to speak to your manager." Let's call her Karen because that's exactly what she was. "Karen, excuse me, I need you to remove a book from your children's section immediately." "Me? Oh, is there a problem with one of our books? What seems to be the issue? Karen, there's a book in there that is completely inappropriate for children. It's emotionally damaging and shouldn't be available to impressionable young minds. I was curious now. We're pretty careful about what goes in the children's section, and we follow standard library guidelines for age-appropriate content. Me, which book are you referring to? I'd be happy to take a look. Karen, it's called The Rabbit Listened. It's about feelings and emotions, and it's teaching children that it's okay to be sad and angry. That's not what we should be telling kids. I knew that book. It's actually a beautiful story about processing emotions in healthy ways after something bad happens. It's been praised by child psychologists and has won several awards. But I tried to stay professional. Me, that's actually a well-regarded book that helps children understand their emotions. Many parents and educators find it helpful for teaching kids that feelings are normal and healthy. Karen, I don't care what other people think. I'm a parent, and I know what's best for children. This book is teaching kids to wallow in negative emotions instead of just getting over things. It's psychologically harmful. Me, I understand your concerns, but we can't remove books based on one person's objections. Our collection policy requires that challenges go through a formal review process with our board. That's when Karen's face started turning red. Karen, I'm not going through some ridiculous process. I'm telling you to remove it now. I'm a taxpayer, and I pay your salary. Me, I'm sorry, but I don't have the authority to remove books from our collection. If you'd like to file a formal complaint, I can give you the paperwork. Karen, this is ridiculous. You're corrupting children, and I won't stand for it. If you won't remove it, I'll call the police. I honestly thought she was bluffing. Who calls the cops on a children's book? Me, that's certainly you're right. But the police can't force us to remove books either. Karen pulled out her phone and actually dialed 911. I couldn't believe it. Karen, yes, I need officers at the public library immediately. There's a librarian here who's refusing to remove inappropriate content that's harmful to children. While we waited, Karen continued ranting about how the book was emotional manipulation and how kids needed to toughen up instead of learning to cry about everything. Other patrons started gathering around, some recording with their phones. About 10 minutes later, 2 officers showed up. They looked confused about why they were there. Officer 1, ma'am, we got a call about some kind of dispute here? Karen, yes, this librarian is refusing to remove a harmful book from the children's section. It's emotionally damaging to kids, and she won't do anything about it. The officers looked at each other, then at me. Officer 2, is there actually something illegal happening here? Me, no, sir. She wants us to remove a children's book because she disagrees with its message about processing emotions. I explained our policies, but she insisted on calling you. Officer 1, ma'am, libraries have the right to choose their own books. Unless something is actually illegal, we can't force them to remove anything. Karen, but it's harmful to children. They shouldn't be allowed to have books that teach kids it's okay to be upset about things. Officer 2, ma'am, that's called the First Amendment. Libraries are specifically protected when it comes to intellectual freedom. That's when Karen really lost it. Karen, I don't care about your stupid amendments. I'm a parent, and I know what's harmful to kids. You're supposed to protect children. Officer 1, we are protecting children, ma'am. We're protecting their right to access information and literature. Karen started yelling about how everyone was conspiring against parents and how the government was trying to control children's minds through books. The officers started recording the interaction on his body camera, which only made her madder. Karen, stop recording me. This is harassment. I'm going to sue all of you. Officer 2, ma'am, you called us here. We're documenting the call for our records. She demanded to speak to my supervisor, who wasn't in that day. She threatened to contact the mayor, the school board, and anyone else she could think of. The officers patiently explained several more times that removing books wasn't their job, and that libraries have constitutional protections. Finally, after about 20 minutes of this circus, Karen stormed out, shouting that she was going to make sure everyone knew about this corruption in our library. Officer 1, sorry about that. We get these calls sometimes. Me, does this happen often? Officer 2, more than you'd think. Usually it's about books, sometimes about displays or programs. People don't always understand how the First Amendment works. After they left, several patrons came up to apologize for Karen's behavior. One mom even checked out The Rabbit Listened specifically because she wanted to see what the fuss was about. The real kicker came 2 days later when my coworker showed me a video on Reddit. Someone had recorded Karen's meltdown and posted it on our public freakout with the title, "Karen Calls Police on Children's Book About Feelings." It had thousands of upvotes and comments making fun of her ridiculous reaction. The best part? The incident actually increased interest in the book. We had a waiting list of 20 people who wanted to check it out after seeing the news coverage. Sometimes the best way to promote a book is having someone try to ban it. Karen never came back to the library, which honestly made everyone's day a little brighter. And The Rabbit Listened is still right there in the children's section, helping kids understand that having feelings is perfectly normal and healthy.